Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon, here and there. My name is Noreen Halberstadt, and I will be your worship leader today. Our speaker this morning is James Simmons-Cox, who is a member here. James has received 3 master's degrees, 1 in art and 2 in theology. He has been a pastor for over 30 years and ordained through 4 denominations. James has been active in ministries that include prisons, camping, youth, and the LGBTQ community. He considers himself a spiritual pilgrim and an imperfect sacred being among all other living things in our universe. We are an inclusive community that affirms the mind, heart, and body in our search for truth and meaning here. We welcome you with your comfort and challenges in your spiritual journey. This morning, our welcome words will be read as a responsive reading. You will be voice 1, and I will do voice 2. You are beloved, and you are welcome here. Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of your comfort, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment, and you are welcome here. In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment of covenant and connection, let us worship together. I had opening words. The opening words by Carrie Kopnick. The things to do have been done, well, for the most part. The people we need are in place, almost. We are ready, or as ready as we will be. Bless this most perfectly imperfect beginning. May we find the right people to do the right things as we go. May we discover that what we needed was right here all along. And may we remember to stop and marvel at the magic of each moment as it floats by.
Please rise as you can and join us in singing Morning Has Come. Hymn number 1000 in your book, or the words will be on that screen.
Today's chalice lighting words are by Lindsay Bates. To face the world's shadows, a chalice of light. To face the world's coldness, a chalice of warmth. To face the world's terrors, a chalice of courage. To face the world's turmoil, a chalice of peace. May its glow fill our spirits, our hearts, and our lives.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
So it's time for all ages, so I'm going to invite anyone, young people, old people, in between people, if they want to come up to the carpet. We're going to do a book today called Juneteenth for Maisie, and we were going to read it. We were going to have Stevie read it for us, but we have a video by the author herself who did it for people like us who want to display this book, and so she authentically did a video for it. So that's how we're going to share the book today.
Juneteenth for Maisie, written and illustrated by Floyd Cooper. For the Williams, the Banks, the Perkins, and the Cooper families, the clans that form my tree. Floyd. Maisie wants to play outside, but it is too late. It's getting dark, Maisie. It's time to stay inside. Maisie wants a cookie, but it is time for bed. Not now, little one. It's too close to bedtime. Maisie wants to stay up late, but she is too little. Bedtime is the rule, sweet girl. Why so grumpy, Sugar Bear? Asks Dad. I can't go where I want, have what I want, or do what I want, answers Maisie. Well, tomorrow you can have a celebration, says Dad. What are we celebrating? Asks Maisie. We will celebrate the day your great-great-great-grandpa Mose crossed into liberty. The day will be celebrated by us and many more families on the day we call Juneteenth. Dad lifts Maisie into his arms. I bet you're tired of hearing no all the time. Well, great-great-great-grandpa Mose heard no even more. Grandpa Mose worked in fields that stretched all the way to sunset. He and the other enslaved people would be bone-tired, but they had to keep going. Their enslavers wouldn't let them quit, but as they worked, they thought about freedom. And before they finally went to sleep at night, they prayed about freedom and made plans for change and a better future. Some slaves ran north to freedom, following a bright star in the sky. They sweat, they bled, and they cried till those cries were quieted by a single proclamation from a brave president. Grandpa Mose heard that proclamation, read from the balcony of the hotel on that warm June day in Galveston, Texas. Grandpa Mose heard nothing but cheers, saw nothing but happiness, and felt nothing but pride shared by all those around him. The cheers became dancing, the dancing became celebrating. It went on and on into the night. Grandpa Mose and the others had found freedom. They continued to work, but this time they were paid for their hard work. So they worked, and they saved, and they never forgot the moment they heard, the moment that changed their lives forever. But things weren't perfect. Black people still struggled to stand shoulder to shoulder with white people. They still weren't treated as equals. It wasn't easy, but they never gave up. And every year on Juneteenth, they remembered. They marched for jobs, they lobbied for schools and the right to vote. They shouted for opportunity. And every year on Juneteenth, they celebrated and remembered. They learned and they grew. They forgave. They excelled and achieved. They became heroes. Now, sweet Maisie, it's your turn to celebrate, just like great-great-great-grandpa Mose. It's your turn, Maisie, to eat some barbecue and drink some strawberry pop. It's your turn to celebrate and to remember.
I don't think I said that it was by Floyd Cooper, so this was by Floyd Cooper. Is there RE today? No. Okay, so the children can go back to their seats and we'll say the covenant. In this place, I am kind. In this place, I am loving. In this place, I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place, I am loved. The vibrant life of our fellowship is made possible by the generous contributions of our members and friends. We will now receive today's offerings to support the ministries and programs of this congregation.
We pray for blessings, we pray for peace, comfort for family, protection while we sleep. We pray for healing, prosperity. We pray for your mighty hand to ease our suffering. And all the while, you hear each spoken need. Your love is way too much to give us lesser things. 'Cause what if our blessings come through raindrops? What if our healings come through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know we're near? What if trials of this life are our blessings in disguise? We pray for wisdom, the voice to hear, and we cry in anger when we cannot feel we're near. We doubt the goodness we doubt the love, as if every promise from the word is not enough. And all the while you hear a desperate plea and long that we'd have faith to believe. 'Cause what if our blessings come through raindrops? What if our healings come through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know we're near? And what if trials of this life are our mercies in disguise? When friends betray us, when darkness seems to win, we know the pain reminds his heart that we are not alone. We're not alone. 'Cause what if our blessings come through raindrops? What if our healing comes through tears? And what if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know we're near? What if my greatest disappointments and the aching of this life is a revealing of a greater thirst the world can satisfy? And what if trials of this life, the rain, the storms, the hardest nights, are our mercies in disguise?
When we gather together as a community, our hearts are opened wider, and the ties of community are made stronger as we share our joys and sorrows. You may be full of joy this morning, or you may be carrying a heavy burden. Feel free to light a candle in any of the trays along the sides of the sanctuary during this time. You can find these on the kiosk or on the music stand as you come into the sanctuary. Today's written joys and sorrows are Judy Hurlbert. It is a joy to know that our beloved Tom Moore is singing this weekend in Carnegie with Central Oregon Masters Singers. We are delighted for you, Tom. Chayla Sloper, a sorrow today. I bless the memory of Patrick how do you say it, Chayla? Bahilga, my friend since junior high. He says he survived HIV since the 80s. Pancreatic cancer took him. Journey, mercies, Patrick. Debbie McMahon, I am so excited to be retired after 33 years of teaching with Bend Lapine Schools. And from myself, I'd like to light a candle for Mark Hickman, who was in the hospital this week, and he has now returned home, and for his good recovery. Woohoo!
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning. What a blessing it is to be here, not only with you, but in this state, in this country. There are a lot of things that we can be happy for and those that are of concern. And I just wanted to say on Father's Day, we recognize the vast spectrum of experiences and the often complicated feelings that some feel and surround such a celebration. We honor those fathers and figures in our lives who have loved and supported and encouraged and instructed us. And we seek to share these gifts with others. We mourn with those who mourn the loss of their father and the fathers who mourn the loss of a child, whether separated by death or estrangement. We support those whom this day brings pain and sorrow, who suffered abandonment and neglect and abuse. And we support and celebrate the fathers in our midst who grieve themselves, who give themselves to their children, recognizing all the strengths and wisdoms, the stamina and the love, the time and honest introspection that fatherhood requires. We support those men who chose not to have children, yet who are present in a loving and a very supportive way to children, to youth, and to adults alike. And we seek to honor wherever we find ourselves today across the vast spectrum of this experience. That we all feel the compassion that embraces us during our period of silence. So let us now embrace a time of silent meditation. It'll be begun with the sounding of the gong and end the same way. This morning, for those who do not wish to close their eyes, we have scenes and sounds of a spring meadow to aid you in your reflection and your meditation. How are you this morning? You good? Can you join with me in just breathing in a new week and breathe out any worry, anything that keeps you from being fully present today? I wanted to begin by stating how blessed I am to be a part of this fellowship. This morning, I've chosen the topic of blessings and a word called sacredness. For a very personal reason, it has become quite evident to me over the past 6 or 7 years that my spiritual life has and is changing drastically. I see it in very small and large ways, such as I have begun to listen to my instincts and regularly look for the magic of the moment of each day. My health has improved and my sleep is better. My anxiety has decreased and my relationships have deepened. And I seem to have a greater sense of energy and fulfillment in my life. Before I begin discussing our topic, I thought it'd be helpful to give you some background to my journey of discovery of the sacred within me. I think it will help you understand me as a person in this evolution that I am making. My first 30 years were strongly molded in the Church of Christ, an extremely conservative faith. When young, I would always question why women wouldn't be able to have any leadership roles in the church. Then around 1984, I learned and yearned for a more broad church to attend. And so, and you'll find this humorous, I began to attend a Southern Baptist church. I felt less than spiritual, especially in the realization that I was gay. I yearned deeply for the sacred. So I decided to go to a seminary and was anxious to see which area of life would win, whether it would be God or the gay. Amazingly enough, with a wise and free-thinking counselors, I began to witness a melding of the two. After years as a pastor, I felt conflicted within. And then in 2003, after pastoring two churches, I entered and encountered emotional and physical breakdown. A pastor and a friend of the United Church of Christ in Salem asked me to come to Oregon. She nurtured me and moved me towards a very understanding of spirit. But I still resisted re-entry into the ministry. I didn't feel I was qualified and was unworthy. Then in 2007, a friend who was a regional director of the United Methodist Church asked me if I would consider a pulpit supply, just fill in for our pulpit for a Sunday or two. And I said, sure, I'll do that for 2 Sundays. And the 2 Sundays led to a great relationship with 2 community faiths that lasted 7 years. At first, the Methodists accepted me as what they called a mod minister, a minister of another denomination, but soon indicated that to keep pastoring in these 2 gracious fellowships, I would have to go through 3 years of ordination and be affirmed by the Methodist elders. Now, even from the beginning, I had conversations with the bishop who knew that I was gay and had I'd been outed. At least I've been out as a gay man since 2000. He had always said that the Northwest Conference would affirm me. However, the Methodist Church, some of you know, is under the regulations of the Book of Discipline that states that homosexuality is incompatible to Christ's teachings for its members and most definitely for its clergy. So for my decade as a Methodist, the spirit was uplifted, but still I felt less than affirmed. Now, on a personal note, I'd given up finding a partner, having looked for over 30 years. Then in 2015, not too long ago, life happened, as they say. One day, as a fluke, a man in Arizona contacted this pastor in Portland, and we met and discovered that his beliefs were closely aligned to Buddhism. So it looked like my soulful evolution was about to be broadened even more. I decided to retire, and within a year, we moved to Bend. In looking for a spiritual family for both of us, we examined the UUFCO and found this to be our spiritual home, where a chunk of my evolution for the sacred continue even to this day. Now, like me, I'm sure that many of you have evolved over the years in your vision of spirituality and sacred and the things that you hold true. The word sacred. I think we all need to understand the importance and power that we find when we encounter within ourselves and others this thing called sacred. I want to show you something that is sacred. It basically has some sacredness to me. This is a quilt that's over 100 years old. was handmade by my grandmother on my mother's side. Now, here's a classy Southern name for you. Her name was Dulia Mae Billingsley. She was born 6 years before 1900, and she was beautiful and gracious and authentic and generous and full of laughter and life. She died a few months before my first birthday, on her 56th birthday. But her legacy has always helped to guide me in my spirit. Now, the quilt is undoubtedly beautiful, all hand done. Sometimes she would run out of fabric and then she would just fill in to complete the design. It's probably not sacred to you, but it still inspires me in many ways, even to this day. Now, there is a truth that I really believe, and I wanted to bring this to you. And it's something that you might not feel comfortable with, but in this section, I will call sacred does not equal perfect. See that? Sacred does not equal perfect. My grandmother's quilt is not perfect. A three-legged dog is just as sacred as a four-legged dog. A bruised apple still can be used to make a very great pie that even wins awards. And yes, we all have flaws. I'm sorry to say everyone in this room has a flaw, has committed sin, or has mistakes or faux pas. But it is universal that I think, in my opinion, I hope you do too, that every human being in this world is imperfect. But as we talk about sacred, I think it is very important for us to realize we all have different meanings of this word sacred, do we not? I want you to be thinking about, what does sacred mean to you? I have found this definition and it's quite intriguing. Sacred is any living thing, place, or event that inspires spiritual respect and devotion. Anything that fosters awe or nurtures the feeling of reverence. When I was younger, I thought the sacred things were the Bible or God. And words like holy and perfect and reverent. But my views broadened a little bit since then. So let's talk about what is sacred to you. As you think of that, let me disclose a very important thing to me. My truth regarding sacred is this: all of life is sacred to me. Now, some of you might not believe that, but if you do believe that, can you repeat that after me? All of life is sacred. One more time. All of life is sacred. And to me, this includes all creatures, large and small, that expand to the immense universe. I think life is a sacred thing. Now, if you agree with that first premise, that life is sacred, then naturally out of it flows the second truth. And for some of you, this will not be easy to say at all, with the assumption that those of you that are here are alive. We must assume that you are sacred. Now, can you just say with me, I am sacred? I don't believe that. For the bold of heart, let's say it again. I am sacred. I am sacred. So I want to affirm that with the people that are around you. Can you look to those people around you and say, you are sacred? Now that wasn't too hard. As we examine further the objects and relationships in this world, and to help us think outside of the box, I have pulled together just a few photographs that show various unconventional viewpoints on what might be seen as sacred or soulful or inspiring. What things actually set these things apart, and what things bring them to a sacredness to some people? I just want you to watch with your eyes and soul. One more time, I am sacred. So let's chat about the elements that bring about sacredness in something. Just to give it more broader perspective, I want to invite you to share some of your own words about what are synonyms of sacredness to you when it comes to mind. And I say sacred, when you have a word or phrase, I'd ask that you just raise your hand and let's just share what sacredness is in this place and time. Anybody have a synonym for sacred? Yes. What was that? Kindness. And there was something over here. What? Religion? Yes. Yes. Holy. Authentic. Reverence. Suffering. Now see, you would have never thought of that if she hadn't mentioned that. Yes, Shayla. Inestimable, I can't even say that word, value. Here are some others that I've gathered over this past week to describe sacred. To be made whole, inspiring, authentic, soulful connection, pure peace, heart-focused, and elation. Now, to bring another aspect, as we have discussed, sacred does not equal perfection. So let me tell you about a wonderful example from our Japanese brothers and sisters. Let's say that you own a beautiful handmade bowl given to your grandmother as a wedding gift. And as you're taking over to the cupboard, you trip and the whole thing just shatters to pieces. What was perfect once is now broken. And yet, and those of you that are on Zoom, you can actually look some of these images up. It's called, and correct me if I'm incorrect, if I say this wrong, it's called kintsugi. What? Kintsugi? Kintsugi. They take a broken bowl. If you'll help me with this, you show that side. And they put it together with gold and silver. And the broken piece actually becomes more precious, having been broken, than it was when it was whole. Other ideas similar to this are the marvelous Quaker quilts. cherished the world over. The crafters of these intricate masterpieces always include a mistake within the quilt to mirror the image of human beings, that all are flawed, yet all are sacred. So here's the question. Would you agree that the sacred things are precious? Yes. So to make it more challenging for some of you, I want you to affirm something. Just listen. I am precious. No, just listen. I am precious and sacred just as I am. Think you can say that? Repeat after me. I am. One more time. Now, see, I always thought unless I had a completely clean soul, I would never go to heaven. And I always tried to be perfect in my parents' eyes. There's no way we will ever be perfect, so we need to realize that our sacredness does not come because we are perfect, because we'll never be perfect. But our sacredness comes because we are who we are. Now, I want us to know that we as a people, especially within the UU Church, are very open to all kinds of beliefs. And I think that that's the wonderful part of it. You can imagine with my background how hard it is to work through those tangents, and especially when everybody says you're going to hell because you're gay. But it's wonderful for me to say, I am sacred and precious just as I am. Now, here's a part that I want us to think about as we work through the dialogue and as a community of faith, community of spirituality. Let us hash out this question: what elements nurture or help to bring about the sacred within you? What, you say, do you mean by that? Well, whenever you are trying to have a sacred moment, whether you're trying to meditate, or whether you're trying to worship, or whether you are trying to get rid of all of this anger and hatred inside of you, what can you do to help bring about that open door to bring more sacredness into you? As you begin to lay the groundwork for the sacred to enter into, whether it be worship or prayer or meditation, what helps you nurture you in this time? Now, I'm going to ask Noreen, if she can, to take a microphone. And I want us to pull some ideas together. If I am really angry and I'm frustrated and I'm worried, those are the barriers that keep us from being the sacred people that we can be. What do you do? What can you do to bring about the more sacred, peaceful, and affirming person that you are? Are there any ideas about what you can do or what you have done? Judy?
I ask for help.
Ask for help. Not only are you confessing and saying, I need help, but you're incorporating the community. Very good. Anybody else?
Relax and meditate.
Oh, wow. So many times, has your mind ever gotten into a loop and you can't get that out of your mind? Get up. Relax, go to a place, hear music, and just meditate. There's one over here.
Meditate and actively love.
Sometimes I said, I don't feel like loving. Sometimes if a baby's crying, I don't feel like getting up and feeding the baby. But when I'm holding the baby It seems like something is right. Yes,
Practice compassion.
practice compassion. Sometimes when you need compassion the most, the best thing to do is to practice compassion. Yes?
And I enjoy photographing sunsets.
Did you say sunsets? I don't think there's anything better. It not only puts you in the moment, but it also makes you realize the beauty that surrounds you in so many ways. Yes.
I do something called the body scan.
Can you say that one more time?
I practice something called the body scan.
A body scan?
Yes.
I need to talk with you about that because I don't know about that idea.
It takes a while, at least it took me a long time to learn, but it fortifies me.
Listen, there's a treasure back there. You need to talk to her about that. I need to scan my body more, I tell you. One more, anybody? We'll get to you, I promise. Yes, sir.
Hi, James.
Hi.
Accept forgiveness in whatever form it comes to you, how often it does, from whoever it does, but understand, since we have so much trouble forgiving ourselves, we need to know how to accept forgiveness.
Sometimes it's hard to accept forgiveness. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself, is it not? Two more. There's one over here, and then we'll get you, Marty.
Connect with nature and friends.
Very, very true. I don't know, you know this, but I got married about a month ago, after 7 years. And our partner, Tim, he always, he says, all right, what? I said, what are we going to do today? He says, I'm going with the flow. So we go out and we look at things and go down roads we've never seen before. And there's not a time that we haven't just been awed by that. Marty.
Take your anger outside and pull cheatgrass.
Shayla, you didn't realize that there was therapy in the cheatgrass, did you? Charlie?
Remember our grandmothers and the quilts they made for us? And I had one that I slept under as a child that was made from my ancestors, her ancestors' clothing.
Thank you. Appreciate that so much. I have a little tiny bit of Native American inside of me, but I realize that I can get much encouragement and strength from the power that I gained from those that have gone before me. Whether I know them or not, it is something that strengthens me. Now, a few barriers for both for blessing and sacredness. Worry, concern over public opinion, expectation of ourselves and of others, and you can make the list as long as you want to. You've noticed I've introduced this thing called blessings. Blessings come when we encounter a sacred or a spiritual moment. Here's the truth. Every encounter that you encounter, you will have, with that soulful connection, a blessing or a gift of what I call spirit. Now, all blessings are gifts, but not all gifts are blessings. A blessing usually comes as a surprise, yet you seldom can plan for or give yourself a blessing. It's a genuine love article from one sacred being to another. I recently came to a realization that just blew my mind. It said, blessings are highly energetic, and you know that's true. A blessing energy can remain with you and gradually evaporate. Maybe you have a pulse of return. But did you know that you can propagate a blessing? How can one continue a blessing, energy, and movement? And you know how you do that, don't you? By sharing it with another. And in response, that blessing will seed again, and it will multiply, and this sacred energy and soulful love will begin to germinate. And it's true that a blessing needs the fuel and love and compassion to stay alive. I wish I had the energy and curiosity of this little girl. She's wonderful. As I close, I wanted to ask you, what will it take to embrace the sacredness within you? Here are just a few suggestions that I end with that help me to encourage and encounter with openness. These are words. Look at these. You've got to be honest with where you're at and what you need. You also need to have eyes and hearts that are open. Do you know what I mean by that? Eyes that are open to others, eyes that are open to yourself and what you need. And your heart is involved always. The next, stillness. Be still. Allow the Spirit to come and heal. Allow the stillness to take away all that anger, that hurt, guilt. And I pray that stillness will help. And a greater oneness with nature, as was mentioned before. Now, I want you to be aware that blessings might bring a pause, they might bring delight, they might bring nourishment, sometimes euphoria. And sometimes they cause a melting of this conflict that you've been having inward. Blessings can often propel us to do action. And at times there will be a delay response, and sometimes you'll find it will be for you uniquely. In some situations, you will be the one who is gifted with a blessing, and sometimes you won't even know that anything has even happened. But when you least expect it, the love will pour over you, and you will realize that something has happened. Was it now? Was it last week? Was it a year ago? Doesn't matter. It was a blessing. So you probably ask, why is James so passionate about spirit and blessing? It's because of these sacred elements in my life that have changed me. Yes, I tend to take things a little slower. I now look for blessings within every day and filled with anticipation. I have greater energy and a deeper sleep, and my relationships are more meaningful. Shh, I wish these things for you. Oh, sacred people, go out this week and become the life and funnel of the blessings within our world. May it be so.
Please rise as you can and join us in singing Simple Gifts. Please wear your mask if you're singing.
'Tis a gift to be be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, and by turning we come round right.
Our covenant, I wanted to say these things in closing, if I can find them. Some closing thoughts before we extinguish the flame. I believe that it is taking me a long time to become the person I was meant to be. I believe that just because someone doesn't love you the way you want them to, doesn't mean they don't love you with all that they have. I believe that it isn't always enough to be forgiven by others. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself. I believe that our background and circumstances may have influenced who we are, but we are responsible for who we become. And I believe that two people can look at the same thing and see something completely different. Let us join together as we extinguish our flame and also as we speak our covenant. And service is its law. This is our covenant. Go forth in simplicity. Find and walk a path that leads to compassion and wisdom, one that leads to happiness, to peace, to joy. Go out and welcome the stranger and open your heart to our world in need of healing. Be courageous before the forces of hate and make sure to hold and embody a vision for the common good that serves the need of all people. One more time, can you say it again? I am sacred. One more time. I am sacred. Sacred people, go out in love.